Welcome back to Red Letter Disciples. This is a podcast that exists to challenge you to become the greatest disciple that you can possibly become. I'm going to invite Chris Johnson, my co-host, pastor from Resurrection Church in Sanford, Florida, to join me in a moment. And we're going to be welcoming two guests today, Wil Crooks and Cardona. Both of them have been working for an incredible organization called Children's Hope Chest for the last 14 years. And today we're going to talk about what global mission work looks like, their approach to it. And I got to be honest with you, I love the way they do ministry. We're going to talk about what global ministry with a long-term relationship, but also an exit strategy looks like, why global missions is a win, not only for the people on the receiving end, but the church that sends as well, and how this could be the number one accelerator in your discipleship of anything you do all year is to go on a mission trip into another culture. So you're going to hear all about Hope Chest. And one of the things we're going to tell you a little bit about today is something we're really excited that we're putting together. Red Letter Living, that's us, that's me. And the work that we do, we are teaming up with Children's Hope Chest for a really powerful, epic pastor's vision trip, March 24 to March 29. We're coming together and we want to invite you, pastor and your spouse, pastor and your assistant. There are 30 spots available for this trip down to Guatemala, where for 5 days, we're going to be enjoying meeting with some of the partners of Hope Chest. We're going to be doing things like evangelism and home visits and connecting with children at their Hope Chest care points. And also every day I'm going to be leading you in devotions that are right out of Red Letter Challenge and empowering you to embody the teachings of Jesus. And we're going to serve, because that at the end of the day is what being like Jesus is all about. So if that trip sounds interesting to you, sounds like something you want more information, if you're like locked and loaded, ready to go, want to sign up, you can do all that at redletterchallenge.com/hopechest. It's going to be a unique trip, and not only after 4 days of hearing and learning more about what Hope Chest is doing and how you can partner with them and us, we're going to have a really fun final day, because I like golf and my wife likes coffee. She'll be on the trip too. We're going to close it. You get to pick either a round of golf with me in Antigua or go to the coffee farm with Allison. It's going to be a super fun time to close the trip. But remember, 30 spots available total. And so get in now. You'll learn more about Red Letter Living, and we'll get tighter together. But also you're going to learn and hopefully partner with this really great organization called Children's Hope Chest. So go to redletterchallenge.com/hopechest. And I truly hope that we'll be hanging out in Guatemala next March together. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the Red Letter Disciple podcast on your favorite platform. If you watch it on YouTube, why don't you go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button? You can do the same on Apple and Spotify and all the great ones. And also, after you do that, rate and review us too. We'd love to hear how's this working in your life. And we would be honored if you'd give us a 5-star review. Without any further ado, we got two great guests to get to today, so let's do this. Well, we got an awesome episode of the Red Letter Disciple today. We're bringing on two guests today, both from Children's Hope Chest, an amazing organization.
God bless technology, today. Zach.
Yes, it's incredible. So let me tell you about the two. The one I met first, his name is Wil Crooks, and Wil is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Hope Chest. He's got a passion to mobilize people and resources to unleash hope, justice, and opportunity for the oppressed.
Also, little known fact, tallest person in America.
Yeah, I think he's 7'4". We're going to verify that in just a moment.
Yeah, he's like Yao Ming.
And then we also got, that's funny, Cardona, who is the Hope Chest Guatemala Country Director.
Not as tall. She is not as tall. She's a little shorter.
I did the Cardona Country Director, Guatemala.
Whoa.
I don't know. That was
wow, that's some alliteration you've got there, kid.
But she grew up in a very small town in Guatemala, but attended university here in the United States, got a business degree, and then went back to Guatemala to serve the children and communities of her country. So love having them both on. Both her and Wil have been on the Hope Chest team for 14 years now. Wow. And I'm just going to say this at the very front. Listeners, you're going to want to hang on to the end. We've got a special opportunity for you, both Red Letter Living and Hope Chest coming together for something. So that's the teaser right there.
Dang it.
Is that what you're going to say?
Joke. Yeah, go ahead. Fine.
So Wil and Carolina, welcome to the Red Letter Disciple. How are we doing today?
Outstanding. Awesome. Bringing the energy. And let's just talk about this height thing. There's a little offense taken if you read my bio, fellows, bringing in Yao Ming at 7'4". My guy is Zach Edey at 7'4" as a Purdue
Okay.
grad. And
Oh,
so
wow.
we're gonna be pumping the Memphis Grizzlies and his pro debut coming up in a couple months. But if we're talking tall people, let's use Zach Edey from now on, okay? And let's give some love to our Canadian friends.
Okay.
Wow.
Memphis Grizzlies, huh? When's the last time they won a title?
Yeah, you two are both coming in hot right
I'm
now.
sorry,
Is
I'm sorry,
everything
I'm
okay?
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
hasn't been yet. It hasn't been yet. But yeah, 9th overall pick and led Purdue to the championship game.
Yeah.
Lost to some dog or something like that.
There you go. And Carolina coming in all the way from Guatemala
Well, I mean,
City.
Yeah.
Just zooming.
I'm very excited to be here with you guys. And Chris, you are right. I'm not as tall as Will, and I'm proud of that. I'm okay with that.
This okay.
Carolina, would I be at 6'6"? Would I be the tallest guy in Guatemala?
You'll be, but we actually met someone that is taller than you, so you don't hold that title anymore.
Huh.
Oh my! And he was, and he's Guatemalan or she.
She?
No, it's not Guatemala. It is a he.
Oh. Wow.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Breaking news.
That is.
The other breaking news is I don't know. Like we've had a couple Canadians
Okay, yes,
before
Yeah.
on the podcast. Is this now our second nation that we've brought in as a guest?
I think
then
so.
with Guatemala?
I mean, we don't usually do a thorough deep dive in nationality, but I would say
No, but actually joining us from another country.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, besides
history right there.
Yeah, besides.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel honored now. Yeah. All the way from Guatemala. And Guatemala is known as the land of eternal spring. So our weather is nice all the year around. So, yeah, I'm bringing you some spring from Guatemala to your podcast.
Very cool. Okay. So we're recording late July.
Mhm.
So what is
hot.
it like in Guatemala right now?
Like 75, something
What?
like that. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And that's hot?
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. It's not hot. Yeah.
Are
But I
you
know it's hot for you, right?
Are you in the mountains or are you not in the mountains?
No, we are like in Guatemala City. So, but we do have beautiful mountains. But right now I'm not there.
I see.
But yeah, Guatemala is the land of eternal spring. So,
Very cool.
I do have one question before we get started with the serious stuff, and I'd like to direct this toward Will.
Okay.
Will,
Wow.
you have something that I've never seen in my entire life, and I don't know if it was a joke or a misprint, but I've never seen Will spelled W-I-L. Like, were your parents just kind of lazy, or what happened? Like, what happened with the other L? You lose it?
Yeah, my dad was a business executive and he was all about efficiency. And so he says, let's save the world some time and just cut that second L. It really, it's like an appendix. You really don't need it.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I said, great, let's cut it.
And yet I would argue we've spent more time with this decision.
What?
Yeah. I would argue
I'm talking about it. Then if it was to gain efficiency, we just wasted a minute on this.
I know, but
That's right. Exactly.
Have you seen Cam, producer? You ever seen Will spelled like this ever in your life?
I have not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's Cam, the world's best producer.
It's similar to when you buy a Mazda. You see Mazdas everywhere. The amount of one-elled Wills that I've seen since being one-elled Will, it's remarkable. So maybe you'll keep an eye out from now on.
It'd be like no, there's none. You're the only one, and it'd be like spelling Mazda Mazdaa. It just, I don't get it, buddy. I guess the efficiency thing makes sense, but we can go on.
There you go. No, it's important stuff.
No, but this hope chest is way more important than.
Agreed. So I'd love to know. We've got a lot of pastors, church leaders, and everyday followers listening to the Red Letter Disciple. That for me, global mission trips, especially short-term mission trips, were such a huge part of my story, especially in those student ministry years. So I'd love to hear from both of you. Like, what was your experience with short-term or global mission trips growing up?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am from Guatemala. I grew up in this country. And I didn't have a lot of experience on the sending side, but on the receiving side. And I grew up in a very small village where we didn't get a lot of people from the US as missionaries. But I do remember when I was about 12 that at my church, we hosted the first people coming on a trip. And I'll be honest, I don't remember what projects they did. I remember Jenny. Jenny came on that trip and she knew some Spanish. And she spent the whole week getting to know me and trying to teach me some English. And at the end, she gave me a New Testament in English and Spanish. And I still have it. And that was many years ago. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it's been a while, and I keep that New Testament. And for me, that is just a reminder of that season of my life when I was like, I need to learn English because I want to talk to people like Jenny. I want to talk to these friends. So for me, that was the only experience, but it was really an eye-opening and inspiring one. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Will?
How
Yeah,
about
for
from
me,
you?
this idea of cross-cultural relationship, it's an accelerator for discipleship. Whenever you're able to go and to serve and to be served,
Yeah.
your discipleship multiplies, not only in the moment, but beyond. As Carolina's story is a testament to decades ago when she received this Bible, that's still a memory that she passes on. For me as a youth pastor, leading lots of trips, seeing students engage and have a real foundation for their faith. I was a pastor for 14 years. And the only reason that I'm in this work now with Hope Chest the past 14 years was because of a trip and being in the red light district of Ethiopia, where there were thousands of prostitutes and that they would never look you in the eye. And I remember just ministering, praying for these young girls, ages 11 to 16, and had one that changed my life forever. Her chin was on her chest, and I reached out and I said, God loves you. And her chin came up and she stared me directly in the eye. And she said, if God loved me, as tears come down her face, why would I be here? And I have 3 daughters. And I know that I would scratch through a wall to do anything in the world to protect them from that type of environment. Yeah. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, who's scratching through a wall to protect this child, my daughter? And that changed my life forever. And it was on one of those trips. And so that's a catalyst to, the work that I'm doing today for the past 14 years.
That's a really powerful, both of you, incredibly powerful stories.
Did you have any of that growing up? I know you came to faith later. So
yeah. No, honestly. But when I was around 25, going down to Panama, and we were originally going down there to like build a church. And then we get down there and we see all these houses, like squatters living in cement brick houses with no roofs.
Yeah.
Like families of like 6 in like a 200 square foot. And we're like, this is ridiculous. We're not going to build a church. We're going to build these people like roofs and try to build them. It completely changed us. And I like what so I'm going to segue here for just a second. I recently just proposed at our church that we do international mission trip because I know how powerful they are. And a lot of times people think you're just going to serve the other people, but they don't understand that when you take somebody out of their environment, you take their phones away, and the opportunity for discipleship is like just so impacted. It's like I went to college for 4 years to speak Spanish, and I can't speak a word of Spanish, but I go down to Panama and I learn more in a week than I learned in 4 years of college. It's it's such a powerful experience.
Yeah.
But I got some
and to be served. Yeah.
I got some blowback from somebody that said this, and I'm sure you guys have heard this too. After I proposed the trip, somebody came up to me and said, we could take that money and we could go local and we could repair homes in our own backyard. Valid point. My point was, it doesn't have to be either or. Like we can serve the local community and we can make an impact globally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to that, because I think that sentiment is shared by a lot of people, maybe even some on ministry staffs of like,
It's a
why,
total.
yeah, why
Yeah,
is global
it's a
so
total
important?
both and. It
Yeah.
should never be an either or. We look at Jesus and his ministry and the multiplication after his ministry. It's always both and.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Carolina can absolutely speak to, we've heard 1,000 times. Well, why don't we just send you $2,000 versus come? Carolina, why don't you take on that one? You
Yeah,
have some
yeah.
passion behind that.
Yes, I always believe that, I mean, people have to come and see. And I love that the Bible talks about taste and see that the Lord, is good.
Yeah.
So he's calling our, senses and in coming and seeing and getting to know the people, because relationships are key when you are doing mission work. Coming and investing your time, getting to know the people you are going to bless. I think that makes a huge difference. And that's a unique opportunity where you can show, the love of Christ. I mean, sending the money, well, it worked. That community center will be built, but what's going to happen with the community? They don't have an idea of who were the people that got moved for the blessing to come to the community. So those relationships and getting to know the people you are serving is very, very important. Mhm.
Yeah, the idea of service and what red letters, is all about and who
Yeah.
Christ was. We like to say resource without relationship is
Mhm.
transactional. And that's not bad. I have
Mhm.
a Starbucks transaction most days and I love it. But we want transformation. We want lives transformed.
Mm.
And we believe that that happens best in relationship. So resource without relationship is transactional. Transformation happens because it's life on life. And Paul would even say that in
Mhm.
Thessalonians when he said, "Hey, we loved you so much that we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel, but our lives."
Yeah.
That's transformation.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. And I love, going back to even something you said prior that I think is, sometimes missed is I'm really looking for opportunities for discipleship to accelerate my discipleship. I think that
Mhm.
if we just get stuck in these normal patterns and ruts, and I love helping local, no doubt, in many different ways. Let's do that. And let's have small opportunities to big opportunities local. But if you really want to accelerate, that's what cross-cultural mission trips did in my life, and
Yeah.
really honestly was one of, I would say, the key contributing factors to me being in ministry. And we're trying to pass that on to our kids already. In fact, I remember, Will, we first met when our family and my boys, I think, were 12 and 8 at the time. And I said, I want to take them with us to Uganda. And so Allison, me and the two boys, we met you and some other Hope Chest folks, and we did a mission trip or a vision trip to Uganda. And it was just so powerful. And even my kids got to see that. And that's one of their lasting memories that they'll have forever, that we want to accelerate that faith at a young age.
Right.
And
Right.
so talk to us just about that faith acceleration and how something like this can sort of disrupt the current, status quo in a really positive way for our discipleship.
Yeah, I think it goes with that openness, that we were talking about, is when you're out of your normal, there's an openness for learning and to be discipled. You can have all the thoughts in your mind on how you're going to serve and that you're going to be a blessing. But when you put yourself in that position to go as a learner,
Mm.
that's when the Holy Spirit is moving and that accelerated growth, because you know what? You've just learned to be dependent on a whole nother culture for your safety, for your time, for your investment. And so that's leaning in. And I think that's one of the big reasons is that's an accelerator. And so if we can move past, hey, we're going to do something good versus I'm going to learn, I'm going to be open, and I'm going to build relationship, and the discipleship is going to go both ways. I think that's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carolina?
Yeah, and also changing, the narrative that I'm coming to save this community. I'm going to save the world, but coming in, understanding and learning from people that were created by the same God, and then thinking, we are the same. I'm not your savior. I am your brother and your sister, and I'm coming here to, share the love of Christ with you. I'm Guatemalan and I love serving my communities. And you have no idea how many times I've been going to these communities, going to houses, and my faith is strong after getting to know people that if we apply the definition of poverty of not having resources, you will be like they are poor. Like people who live in very harsh conditions, but they have Christ, they have faith. You have no idea how I have been encouraged, but I'm intentional. I'm there. I'm getting to know their story, understanding their day to day. But if I come with that attitude, like I'm gonna build you a house, I think people won't be as willing to share the life of their story, the story of their life with you. So getting to that common ground, you and I are the same. We have been created by the same God, and just how we can learn from each other. But also, you guys, when you come, you can also share, your faith. And I've seen, like for example, our youth. When you share, the journey of your life, they are like, oh, the struggles that I have in Guatemala are very similar to the ones they have in the U.S. So you can also share, besides faith, you can share hope with the people from anywhere you go.
It's good.
And that's mindset, Zach, is this
Yeah.
idea. I think James wrote, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to
Yeah.
be rich in faith and to
Mhm.
inherit his kingdom? And I think we go with the wrong mindset of we're going to, as Carolina said, save something or whatever that Christ has already done. But it creates a power dynamic. And that's the wrong place to be when we do cultural ministry. We can't view people as less, or, even though they don't have the access to the same resources. Even the word empower, right? Who are we to say, hey, we go and empower people? That means we've got the power to say that we're empowering, right? We go to partner and to be in relationship, as Carolina said, with our brothers and sisters.
That's good. I think I heard then, Wil, your story was being a pastor of 14 years and being on trips. And like that moment was big for you to get you into doing global mission efforts and work. Carolina, I'd love to hear from you, like how you got into the work. Obviously, growing up in Guatemala, you came to the States to get a degree. Were you already thinking, I'm going to get a degree and then go back and help in, or just how did you get into ministry, specifically with Children's Hope Chest?
Yeah. So as I shared with you, I grew up in a small town and with different limitations. Like I didn't know how to use a washing machine, and I got this scholarship to go to the U.S.
I
And I
still
was
don't
a freshman, and I was like, "What do I do?" And my English was very poor. Like I remember going to order my first sandwich, and they asked if I wanted jalapenos, and I said yes because I didn't understand that. So I was like, "Oh, this is spicy. I don't like spicy food. Just so you know." And so for me, it was like a big culture shock. But after being 4 years in college and understanding the blessing that God had given me, in my heart, I had that desire to come back to Guatemala and do something for the people that I knew needed help, because I had the opportunity to be with the people that could help. So I came back to Guatemala, and after a lot of prayer, God led me to, I didn't start with Hopches. I was with another organization, but he was very clear, like, I'm calling you to serve your country. I want to use your education and your life experience to bless others. So I've been doing this for almost 13 years. And I'll be honest, I get really excited every day. I get up and I don't feel like I'm going to work, because I know the calling God made for my life. And I just feel like it is an honor to be an instrument that He is using to change and transform Guatemala. That is my dream. I want to see a different country where people are empowered and they can take responsibility of their own development, where children can have dreams and and know that they can accomplish that. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is. I have many more details, but We have limited time.
I like so much of that, except for the jalapeno part. I'm a jalapeno guy, but
Wow.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
am.
everything else, I love it. Your English, by the way, is incredible now.
Yes.
So great work.
Better than
But
Zach's.
I feel like, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, there's a stigma around short-term missions trips as well. That, you know, is it actually helpful, or is it just help the ones that go, but not the ones on the receiving end? And I know that your philosophy is really taking a look at that. I know that the book When Helping Hurts played a major role, that philosophy, and how you conduct your global missions. So maybe speak to that, or against that stigma, with your approach and how it is working, and why it is so valuable on both ends. And I'll let either one of you go first.
Ooh, yeah, because I can't wait. Let's save the best for last with Carolina on that one. Is this idea of purpose? Why are you going, and were you invited? Right? um, is What is the purpose behind going? Is it two-way transformation? Is there something that God is leaning and guiding and welcoming your community into, as well as the community that you're partnering with? Because the serving, again, should go both ways. I love what Lilla Watson said. You know, she's an incredible writer. She said this when it comes into this space. She said, "If you've come to help me, you're wasting your time. But if your liberation is bound to mine, then we can walk together."
Mm.
And that's the human connectivity. So it all starts with mindset and why we're doing it. What are the purposes behind it? And then, you know, the follow-up questions, we can get into healthy ways to engage. But it always has to start with, what's the purpose? Is there a bigger plan, or are you just looking for an experience? And I think there needs to be a bigger plan behind what is God calling you into. And that's where the church has to listen. That's where the church has to be smart in who they're partnering with. And when they go, there's purpose behind the going. You're going with a bigger plan in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And is that two, like I think I heard you say, two-way transformation? Should that always be what we seek with global partners or mission trips, Carolina?
Amen. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yes. You know, as we'll share, you know, what is the purpose of the trip? And I think, you know, it's just that mindset needs to change of why we are going. And I've been talking like, I'm not going to save the world. I'm going to learn and bless the brothers and sisters that God created. And I think we just need to change the narrative of, you know, why we do short-term missions. I think it's gotta be like, I'm gonna go and visit my extended family in a different country. If you have that in mind, it's very different as I'm going and saving you, or I'm going because I want to go and serve you. Because if you say that, you are only seeing what I'm gonna take out of this experience. And remember, it's gotta be two ways, and you're gonna think, you gotta think, okay, how I'm gonna bless them, but how I'm gonna be blessed by this experience as well. So I hope just, you know, our trips are highly relational. We always propose activities where people can come and learn about the culture, because you are going to a foreign country. We have many people who are leaving their country for the first time, and they are coming to Guatemala, and I'm very honored when we have that. And just, you know, share with them, how does the world look outside of the US? So just, you know, learning and having activities where we can dignify the people that we serve. And I've seen, like in Guatemala, for many years, having short-term mission trips without a clear purpose has damaged the mindset of my people. Because people have been like, oh, you know, I cannot do it. I have to wait for the Americans to come and do it. And that's not what we wanna. That's not the message we wanna tell to our people. You know, I wanna tell them, you can do it. You know, you are empowered to do this or get out of this situation. So it has created some damage because there hasn't been, you know, a clear purpose for trips. And I seen it, like when I go to the airport, I see these many trips, and I'm like, they come here for a week and then they forget about the community and the people they serve. So that's why they need to partner with an organization where there is a long-term strategy, where there is a purpose for the trip coming, and there is not just okay, this is just an opportunity. I think an opportunity with purpose, with a clear purpose, is powerful than just an opportunity without, like, what are we going to accomplish? So I don't know if that was confusing, but just share with you a little bit of what I've seen on trips. And I think it just changed a little bit of the mindset or the narrative that the U.S. church has used for many years when it comes to recruiting people who can come on a trip and serve.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with my team about doing some work in Central America next year, and I had two big, like, private concerns that, like, nobody voiced them, but then they came up to me afterwards and had the private conversation.
Love those.
I was like, I mean, if you have this question, somebody else probably has this question.
Right.
Let's address it. But the first one was, why are we going globally? And you answered that. But can you guess what the second biggest concern was?
Well, I don't know. Can it be, how are the bathrooms over there? I don't know. I have got that question so many times.
No, nobody asked me about the bathrooms, but that's funny. I'm sure it's coming. No, actually, the second one was, are we going to be safe? Like, how is the safety? Because it's a suburban church. These people are, and I'm sure you get that question. And I'm just curious, how would you respond to that?
But that goes in alignment with what I shared with you. You partner with an organization that has local people involved. I think if you do that, you are going to be safe, because those local organizations have a relationship with the communities we serve.
Gotcha.
And that is very different if you come and you are there just for one day, and the community are going to be like, who are they? Why are they here? But when you go with an organization that is known and respected and appreciated by a community, they are the ones protecting anyone coming with that organization. So that's what makes a huge difference. Who are you coming with? And if they have, like, a purpose and a long relationship with, the community that you're serving.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Zach and I shouldn't just hop on a plane and come down and start fixing houses by ourselves.
That wouldn't be good for anyone. That's not my spirit.
No, that is not safe.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
But I can speak from experience. Obviously, going on that vision trip to Uganda with Wil and the crew, they took great care of us. They know what they're doing. So safety was a top concern from the beginning. And we always felt that way. Wil, I think I'd love for you to speak, because I kind of fell in love with the way your mission of how you accomplish this two-way transformation. It was just very appealing to me. And so I'd love for you to kind of share what does that two-way transformation look like? What's the strategy behind specifically Hope Chest and the way you guys do global missions?
Yeah. We spent ample time on trips, but that's just a piece, right? It's a piece of the engagement. It's a piece of the relationship. And so it's the broader vision of two-way transformation, transformation versus transaction, discipleship. It's about strategic development, and those things are long-term, and those things actually have a plan. It's those things that come along the vision of indigenous leaders. For us at Hope Chest, it's not, hey, come and see what we do and help us do that. No, at Hope Chest is, what is God calling your church into? And does what Hope Chest do really support and help you accomplish what God is calling you into in the kingdom? And I think that's a really important distinction. But what we do and where that two-way and how your church can be discipled and grow beyond trips is really having that partnership, where there's an actual development plan. And Carolina can speak more to strategic development within each country, where there's a plan and you get to come alongside that. And so there's opportunities within that plan for multiple people to engage. And then our sponsorship program through the friendship model where it's not you choosing a child. It's actually we take your picture and hang you up on a wall in Guatemala, in Uganda, in Kenya, and Ethiopia, and the children choose you. So it's all about this idea of dignity, providing children with voice and choice from the beginning of the relationship. And so those are unique ways, again, for relationship to happen through the letter writing, through updates, through video platforms. We have a very sophisticated way that we connect. What we say is we bring the partner right to the action, 24/7 access through Slack to be able to picture share and story tell together. So it's about long term. It's about having an actual plan where there is, get this, an exit strategy. So you're not creating dependency.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in there where there's two-way because you feel in it together.
So you're saying, if I understand you correctly, that somewhere in Guatemala, there's a picture of Zach Zender up, terrifying kids and families.
That's exactly right.
And this is my
Thank
guy here.
goodness that Allison's picture
Oh, thank God.
is a
I hope
part of that
Allison's is
as
bigger
well.
than Zach's.
So
Yeah.
our church, King of Kings, we did partner with Hope Chest in Guatemala, and so my family, we each have someone, but this is my guy, Christopher Josue, and he chose me.
Wait.
I'm pretty excited about this.
So you like him better than these three other kids?
This is mine. So this is my of all of them. They're all right.
And just so we always know, we call them, so you have a launch at church, right? Where Zach, you get up, say, hey, here's our new partnership in Guatemala. Everyone can engage. We'll get your picture taken. And then we have this unbelievable celebration called a CarePoint match event.
Yeah.
And so we know who gets chosen last. And so, Zach, we know. So be careful.
I don't want to hear
You
that.
were not. I was there, and you were not, Zach. I promise. You were not the last one chosen.
Was he lower on the list? Can you tell us like what position?
I know Allison was chosen before me. That's
It's
all. I make
You guys basically have an NFL draft where you put a bunch of people's picture and the kids come up and pick it.
But isn't that cool? Because a lot of the way other organizations do it is, we're joking with NFL draft, but it's like an NFL draft where I would look at the kids and grab one.
Right.
And it's like, I like them choosing us better.
Oh, yeah.
Such a cool.
That's so dignifying for the kids. And, the pictures they take, they place those pictures in a very special very special place in their house, like by their bed or by the refrigerator. I've seen those children like hold on to those pictures and be like, this is my new friend, and I'm not letting it go. So it's very special and unique, just the way the relationship and that friendship starts between a child and a friend here in the US.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do is we ask the child, why did you choose
I'd love to know.
friend?
I'd love to know this answer.
Yeah, Carolina, tell a story or two about why, because it's not just random.
No, and I've been there with every child. Like, why did you choose this friend? And many of them, they choose when there is a family where there is a father, there is a mom, and there are kids. Because some of them, they don't have that at home, so they feel like I choosing a friend with something that I don't have. But I've seen children saying, I'm choosing this friend because they look like my grandmother, or because they look like very kind people. So they are very creative in the way they choose their friends, and it's very powerful. Just like even little kids, they know why. They have a reason why they have chosen that friend. Like, if you don't think that you have beautiful eyes, wait for a kid in Guatemala to see your picture. They may think that you have the most beautiful eyes in the world. That's how they see you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're thoughtful in their choosing. And one of the stories out of Guatemala, Carolina, about there was a single picture of a male, and the child had lost their father, of being able, here's a male presence that can speak into my life. That's the thoughtfulness that goes into these choices.
That's cool.
I wish the Detroit Lions were more thoughtful in their choices, going back to the NFL.
Hey, they're trending upward.
The trend is there.
I think they also pick their talent by the color of their eyes. I think that's what the Lions
there you go. And what is so unique too is partnering with, but it's a long enough relationship that it is a relationship and a partnership. But it's cool that there is an exit strategy. I don't think a lot of global work with churches feel that way, but that's what we want. Is we want to provide whatever we can on our end, but give them the opportunity on the other side to really flourish. And I saw that, in Uganda when I was with you. I mean, you guys were trying to figure out entrepreneurial things that match the community. I remember one of the villages we went to, I think they had like some peanut butter farm thing that was really important and valuable for that community. And then I'd go to the next one and they'd have something else, a welding or a cooking opportunity that is good for the community. And so it's really kind of unique, the different approaches.
Yeah, I think what Zach's trying to say, and
no, I said it the way I wanted to.
What he's trying to say is that none of us want to, pay for a 43-year-old truck driver, right? There's an end date to the whole thing, right? Yeah. So
it's really awesome. So I'd love to hear, I know we heard a little bit from Carolina on, how the children choose their friends, their partners. But I'd love to hear, some more stories of success, both on the receiving end, but also on the sending end. So maybe one of you take one side of that. Carolina, go the receiving end, and then Wil, what's the wins as well on churches that send? How do we see that come to?
I'm sure there's some amazing testimonies to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Carolina, you've got just a bucket full of testimonies in terms of Guatemala, Rosita and Naomi, and we can just go on the list. Do you want to start, and then I'll go on the church side?
Yeah. And actually, the comment that you make, Zach, about the economic development activities that you got to see in Uganda, we do that everywhere. We don't only work with the children. We want to work with their parents, providing them with economic development opportunities so they can be self-sufficient, and then one day they won't need coaches anymore. And actually, I want to share the story of Adela. Adela she's a single mom with 4 kids. And when Adela came to our care point, she was like, I don't have a way to provide for my kids. I need your help. So we took not the 4 kids because one of them was older. We took 3 of her kids into the program. They received help with education in their physical development because we do have a holistic child development program. But then Adela was like, my dream is to learn how to sew. And at that care point, we had a sewing program. And we were like, okay, come and learn. So she started learning. And then, she's like, I have learned how to sew, but I don't have a sewing machine. And if coaches would follow the traditional mindset, we want to give you everything you need, we could have done something different. But this is what we did. We were like, okay, you know how to sew, and you have learned these sewing machines from the care point, because we established care points in the communities where we work, where we run holistic child development programs and community development programs. So you hear care point, that's what we meant. This community center where different things happen to bless the community. So she came to that care point and she started sewing some, and selling some shirts, some bags. And we were like, okay, we will give you your sewing machine, but you have to pay back. And tell that to a single lady with 4 kids, that if you are paternalistic, you'll be like, no way, that's not happening. But we are empowering. We want to dignify people, and we want them, to value and to realize what they can accomplish by themselves. So she was like, okay. So she has paid her sewing machine. That's not a sewing machine that Hope just gave her. She has a growing sewing business. Now her older son is going to a mechanic school. He wants to become a mechanic. She is leading a savings group at the care point. She's teaching other people how to manage their money. She is a volunteer in the programs that we have for the kids. So I like her story because it's not just Adela and what she accomplished, but also, her kids. Her kids are seeing her mom working for her dreams. And that is also, it's going to change the way they think about their future. So, and I have many more stories, but I wanted one where you can understand that we don't only work with the kids, we work with the parents as well. So that sewing machine is golden for her. We are very proud of Adela.
Well, and it's really cool. Not only is she taking care of her family, but she's also giving back. Like that.
Exactly.
That's really a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's
And it's
amazing.
not because we asked her to do it. It
Right.
came from her. Like, I want to give back because you helped me and now I want to help you. So that's how you are breaking cycles of poverty in communities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So good. And then Will, talk to us on the sending end, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's easy in terms of how churches are transformed, and we have case study after case study after case study of this. Church growth is a part of this, where it's an opportunity to include friends and family and businesses and things like that to help, let's say, support you as somebody travels. Now they want to hear more about your church and what is this partnership about. They can be invited, to go as well. It's almost every church launch where, as I said, Zach, you get up and talk about the partnership and we get children sponsored through our friendship model. It's inevitable that on those Sunday mornings, I'm a first-time visitor. I can't believe this church is doing this. This is awesome. Yeah. It's a connector. It shows something that this mindset of the church is different. It's attractive for people. So there's church growth that's directly implemented when there's a global presence that's real. The second thing is this idea of intergenerational connection with youth and with parents. The number of, Zach, you're prime example to go with your wife and your kids. It is passed down. It is family discipleship. It's an accelerator in that space, for families. And I think that's a big opportunity to go cross-generationally and to keep kids, high school students, when they go off to college, connected with the church back home. That's an important connection to maintain for their future and for the future, of the church. And thirdly, it's this idea of, wow, we can see the way that this partnership works and transforms community. We can use some of that in how we're operating locally and maybe change up some things versus, giving away bus tokens or setting up a food pantry and giving away food. What are some more strategic ways we can impact our communities? So those are three areas that jump to mind, for me, when it comes to how the churches are impacted.
So I have a practical question, because I know this would. Let's say at my church we decide to do a Hope Chest event, and I think somebody would say, I believe it's, what is it, $45
a month
to adopt a child. So let's say, Julio picks me first. He sees my picture and, clearly he's going to go after the red jacket. I'm going to wear this in my picture.
I picked him for his flashy wardrobe.
Exactly. So then what happens next? Like, practically what happens with that $45 a month? It goes to Hope Chest, and then what happens?
Great. Carolina, you want to share how that's, impacts in the different categories at the Care Point?
Yeah. So that money, gets to Guatemala, and we have the kids at a Care Point. I share with you, what a Care Point is, and I'll do a pop quiz and ask you, what is a Care Point? No, I won't do that. But, they come to a Care Point, and at that Care Point, that money is going to help fund programs that are going to be intended for the holistic development of the child. But at the same time, it's going to fund community development programs that are going to help equip parents with opportunities so they can make a living. So that money is not going specifically just for that child, but it has a greater purpose of blessing the child and the family and their parents. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, Will?
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. So basically, in some programs, other ones, like the money specifically goes to to the child, or I've never been really clear with what happens with that when I adopt somebody, or not adopt, but when somebody picks me first.
We use the word sponsor at Hope Chest, right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. And
All right.
Yeah.
it's this idea of
You're learning. That's good.
being able to run that development program through sponsorship, which is paying for full-time staff at the care point, but every family in that program is known, is looked after, and it's not just, it starts with the children, but we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about education, we're talking about medical support, we're talking about discipleship. Those are the buckets that we need to set a foundation. In our development process, we have 3 phases: survive, thrive, and then succeed. And so the sponsorship dollars get used differently as you progress in the development process.
So you're basically taking I'm thinking about it like a hospital. You're basically taking people into the emergency room that need to be saved, and then you're educating them, and eventually they, are on the path to being able to understand, okay, this is how I eat healthy. This is how I survive. It just reminds me of the first time I sold Zach a sewing machine, and he really took off after that.
Yeah, I made this jacket through that. So
were you doing surgery with the sewing machines? That's how you were sewing people up? Or?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. We're still figuring that out. Yep. But and what I think a lot of, Will, when we talked about the sending churches, you talked about church growth. I think when people think church growth, they always jump to quantity. And, as I was kind of looking through Christ's some of his final red letters in Matthew, that Great Commission really has a quantity and a quality call to it, right? Therefore, go and make new disciples. That's the quantity. But then the quality comes after, baptizing them and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And that's really what I think, when we talk church growth, not only can it increase the quantity, if people are there, they're saying, yeah, this is great, but the ones that participate are becoming more quality disciples. And that's only going to grow not only the individuals, but the entire church.
Yeah.
Will, do you have, or maybe Carolina, either one of you, I guess, is there a church that has, I would say, went through with Hope Chest and seen an exit strategy because everything went as it was? I don't know if it was as it was ought to or intended, because usually God does even more than we think or imagine. But are there churches that have actually gone through this and seen an exit strategy with, a neighboring village or partner?
Yeah, the development process takes 12 to 15 years.
Okay.
And we've got 6 that are in the graduation phase right now.
Awesome.
All 6 are in Uganda, and 2 will be graduating in 2025. So,
Cool.
there's a lot of enthusiasm behind. There's a criteria in each country of 15 different things that need to be met. As I said, the development plan, everything is very strategic. However, as you said, things don't always go according to plan, but it's 12 to 15 years. And we're
Cool.
lined up, ready for those to happen.
That's awesome.
That is so good.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
If people, my last question before I tell people about a cool opportunity coming up is, if people, American Christians, were to go down to Guatemala, what are a few of the things that would positively surprise us or spur us on in our faith that we would pick up from the Guatemalan culture?
Really good question.
That's a great question.
That is a great question. One is, we are a very warm, culture. So just experiencing how people are willing to share their lives with you. And we when you come on a trip, we do home visits. And I'm just impressed how people, they are so honored to show you, this is where I live. This is my family. This is what I do on every day. And you go, and sometimes you don't have a place to sit, but they are not thinking like, I am poor and I don't want to show you my life. They are proud of showing you their home. So you will experience, the welcoming and the warmth of the Guatemalan culture. And I just want to touch, I think that one of our love languages is food. So if you come to Guatemala, you are gonna feel God's love through food because
Amen.
our people are gonna feed you with so much love. And yeah, so I'll say for me, that will be the top one. Like we will share. People will be willing to share their lives with you.
And I've said before, and I'd be happy to have author Gary Chapman on, who wrote the 5 love languages, that I think he's wrong. I think there's 6, because
Yeah.
food is my love language.
100%.
Yeah,
And I'd
there
love
you
to have a conversation with Gary about that. So if you're ever listening, like, let's talk, Mr.
Yeah.
Chapman.
go.
Exactly.
But no, this is so good. So yeah, I teased
Well,
out a
Zach,
cool-
let me jump in
Yeah.
real quick with
Yeah.
that one too, because I've been to Guatemala, 20 times or whatever.
He's almost Guatemalan, yeah.
I bring it back
know,
to
we're gonna find
antiquity in how the Guatemalan
Yeah.
culture can change lives. We bring it back to antiquity. There are 33 volcanoes in Guatemala. 3 are active. And so we will often go and sacrifice to the volcano gods. So if you have any problems in life or anything like that, we will throw a chicken right into that volcano and we'll make it all better. And that's one of the really powerful
Wow.
discipleship tools that we've done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we've got a really great opportunity, 2 things, and the one is leading to a second thing. So the first thing is on September 12th, noon to 1 Central, I'll be having a webinar with Will, and perhaps another guest or 2 will join us on that. And we're going to dive even deeper into how global mission work can grow your church. And we're probably going to be talking quality and quantity when it comes to church growth in that conversation. And also just some helpful tips for churches that want to partner with really awesome global ministry partners. What does that look like? But then we're going to dive deep into the second opportunity, the real granddaddy of them all, which I'm so pumped about. We at Red Letter Living are teaming up with Hope Chest. We're going to be doing a vision trip meant for pastors. So it could be a pastor and their spouse, or it could be a pastor and even an associate pastor, something like that. That's going to be March 24 to 29, and we're going to be going down to Guatemala, and you're going to be able to see everything in action that Hope Chest provides. And I'll also be leading daily devotions from the Red Letter Challenge side of things. And so I think it's going to be a really fun, unique opportunity. I'm not going to give everything now away on what that trip is going to be, but people can join in the webinar and already go to redletterchallenge.com/hopechest if they want more information or the details on that. It's going to be March 24 to 29. We are going to have a blast in Guatemala, and you're going to learn about an incredible or not just learn about, but see an incredible organization on the ground. So limited to 30 pastors, though, Chris, or 30 total people, I should
30
say.
total people. That's right. That's
All
right. Chris can bring his red jacket and we'll
Yes.
throw him in a volcano.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, hopefully one of the inactive ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, we'll share a lot more information. We'll put the links in the show notes to both that webinar and the link to learn more. But we're going to be able to talk more about specifically mission work in Guatemala at the webinar. So if anyone's like already like, yes, we want one of those 30 spots, you can do that already. But if you want more information, website and webinar are the opportunities for that. And I can't wait to do that. March 24 to 29. My wife, Allison, and I believe kids are going to join as well. So we're going to have a great, great time.
Yeah.
Will, you're going to be there?
Bring your spouse, right?
I know we'll see Carolina, right? Will we see you?
I'll be here. Yeah. Will?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely. It's already
Come on.
marked in the calendar. Yep.
All right, cool. So, guys, we ask every guest. We want this to be a really practical podcast. And so if you could challenge our listeners to do one thing practically this week to be a greater disciple of Jesus, what challenge would you throw down?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ladies first.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I think I would challenge you to go on a trip and learn. And you're going to be like, are you telling people get on a plane? Well, as I share, I would love to host you in Guatemala and show you our love through food and show you our volcanoes. But I'm challenging you on go on a trip to your neighborhood. And, you know, if there's a neighbor that you don't know a lot, go and spend time and find a way how you can share God's love with that person, or even a pastor that is your friend and you don't know much. You know, I think we have been learning the importance of relationships and learn from each other. And I don't think you can only do that internationally. You can do that, in your neighborhood with your friends. Is there someone that you don't know much and you can intentionally this week get to know a little more and find a way to share God's love with them?
Beautiful. I love it.
Bingo.
Will, what you got?
Ditto. I'm just kidding.
Again, I flat out, she took mine. I was like, cross a border.
No.
Cross a border. That was the thing in your hometown, whether it's going into the home of a refugee or an immigrant and spending time versus always inviting those people out. Go and have a conversation with a homeless person, an elderly stranger, a neighbor. Go and buy donuts for a different department at your workplace and say nothing. Cross a border of some kind, put yourself in that hint of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And listen, learn, be present.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, if you take on either one of those or both, because you might be able to maximize, and let us know. Hashtag Red Letter Disciple or email us hello@redletterchallenge.com. We just want to support you, encourage you, give you a thumbs up, cheerlead you along the way, and love to know what you learned too. So with all that being said, Chris Johnson, what do you have for our guests today?
Carolina, Will with 1L. It's been a pleasure. I think we've all learned a lot today. We've learned to cross a border.
Yeah.
We've learned to, whether that's speaking to someone that we don't usually speak to or literally crossing a border. But I've been informed today. I've actually been kind of spying on Will's travel.
Oh, really?
Will's been to Guatemala 26 times.
Wow.
Yeah. That almost makes him a Guatemalan.
Almost.
But does Will really know Guatemala?
Okay.
Does he really know it?
Yeah.
Like he goes there.
Yeah. How can we trust? I mean, these
and
people
he
don't.
walks around, but does he really know it?
Right.
Or does the resident Carolina, does she know Guatemala better? Welcome to the game show. Who knows Guatemala better? All right.
Ooh, okay.
Ladies first. We're going to start with ladies first. Carolina, your question. And if you don't get it right, Will can steal. This is kind of tough.
Okay.
What does the word Guatemala mean?
Okay. Land of many trees.
That's right. Number one. 1 point. 1 point.
Okay.
Yay!
Question, stealer of joy, was going to be how many volcanoes were in Guatemala, but now I'm not going to ask it because you played your card. So now we're going to do something else. All right. This goes to Will. It's 1-0. What is the number one export of Guatemala? Don't answer, Caroline. I can tell she knows. Nope. The number one export. Will's been to Guatemala so many
26 times.
26 times.
The number one export from Guatemala is coffee or avocado.
Well, that's a big difference, pal. you gotta pick one, and I'll tell you what, one of those are correct.
Oh.
I'll go with coffee.
Man. Really? You're right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
Coffee is
It's great acting.
Wow. Okay. Hold on.
I know. Quiz show is one of my favorites. See how I bit my finger?
Yeah.
How I looked up and.
This one is closest to the pin. You both get to answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Closest to the pin. Whoever is closest, whether you go over or under. These, there are blank dialects spoken in Guatemala. How many? Spanish is the official language spoken by 90% of the population, but there are so many other indigenous people in Guatemala. How many dialects are spoken in Guatemala, Carolina?
23.
Okay. What do you think, Will?
176.
Well, that isn't even remotely close. It is 21, Carolina, 2-1. All right.
Wow.
23.
She almost on the head.
Okay, Will, if you get this correct, then we're going to have to go to a playoff here. I did the coffee already, and he stole. Oh, A hurricane, Will, unveiled a Rhode Island-sized precious mineral mine. What was
Jade.
You got it. That's
Wow.
it. That's it.
He didn't even wait.
He
for
didn't
that.
even
That was
wait.
impressive.
All right. Carolina, you get this, you win.
Oh,
I like it.
All right. The Mayan people invented the first ever blank that you let's see. It's
no hints.
it's kind of a dessert.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, she wins. Oh my
There you go.
goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
That was amazing. The other one was Mayan people actually are a leader in blue denim production. I did not know
wow.
that, but oh,
Didn't know that.
There you go.
Oh,
Gotta
man.
love it.
Doesn't Carolina have a blue denim shirt on?
she does.
There you go.
That is pure,
Full circle
pure
right there, folks.
Guatemalan.
You're
Well,
Guatemala.
Carolina, if people want to connect with you guys or Hope Chest, where should they find you these days?
Go to the Hope Chest webpage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot believe
Mhm.
we got the jade.
Yeah, that's
That's-
impressive. I mean, Carolina won, but Will held his own,
You did.
except
Yeah.
for the dialects thing. That was pretty
Dialects.
embarrassing.
Yeah. You really went over on that one, pal.
That's what he does. He
Maybe
rises above.
Next time when you go down there, just start counting them. You know,
I know. We can get up. Yeah, we can find the 21. The funny thing is that I like Carolina. Carolina's like, that's wrong. Whatever you're reading is wrong. It's 23.
Right. She
Yeah,
probably
she
is.
probably-
Right.
That's what I learned in school. It's 23. We have 22 states, and then we have 23 Mayan languages. So
oh, I've been wrong countless times in
Yeah,
7
we have to check your sources, Chris. Yeah.
Fact-checking, please. He's really struggling.
We've done
this
two.
season,
We've
so-
done 2 games today, and I've been fact checked on both of them.
and you've been wrong both times. So we can't trust
Right.
anybody here except for our friends, Will and Carolina. Hey, thank you guys really for what you do. Super honored. We love Hope Chest. My family is in it. We're excited about this trip coming up. So I'll mention it again, the link in the outro for the trip and stuff. But God bless you guys and the ministry you're doing. And yeah, we'll be seeing you pretty soon. So take care, guys.
Yeah.
Bless.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Well, we are so grateful for both Carolina and Will coming on to the podcast today. I think it's really amazing. And I truly believe it. I saw that to be true in my own life, that I don't know that there is another important accelerator for my discipleship than when I went on mission trips in my high school and even now in my adult years. So, hey, if you want to accelerate your discipleship and you want to see what it's like in action with an incredible organization like Hope Chest, there's probably no better opportunity than the one we're partnering with in Red Letter Living and Hope Chest coming together for an epic pastor's vision trip, March 24 to March 29 of 2025. And so you can find all the details there, redletterchallenge.com/HopeChest. Also, don't miss our show notes. We're going to have the link not only for that too, and any of the things that Will and Carolina talked about, but we also will put the link. We're going to do a free webinar with Will on September 12th. And so if you want to hear more about their ministry philosophy, if you want to hear more about this vision trip we're going on, that's something to register for too as well. And you can find all those links at the show notes at redletterpodcast.com. Next week's guest is a titan in the faith. He's an amazing good dude, just a super happy guy too. I just had such a pleasurable conversation with David Ashcraft, who is the leader of the Global Leadership Network before he was there, and in charge of, one of the greatest, if not the single greatest gathering of leaders in the world. He was the lead pastor at LCBC, Lives Changed by Christ in Pennsylvania, where he helped his church grow from 150 people in one location to 22,000 people in 19 locations. So we're going to ask David, he's going to tell us the secret to growing your church from 150 to 22,000. And I know that you might be thinking, you're overselling it, Zach. And I probably am a little bit. Like, what's the one secret, the one thing? Like, come on, serious? But I will tell you, his answer to the question was something I'd never heard of before. I think there's some serious legs to it. So I think you're going to want to come back and hear about that. And then we're going to actually put David on the hot seat, as well as myself, of the greatest global leadership summit talk of all time. It's pretty powerful. It's going to be a great episode. So don't miss it. And the way you don't miss it, you've heard me say this before if you've listened to the very end. Subscribe and follow our podcast on whatever your favorite platform is. And while you're there, rate and review us. And we'll be back next week for another fresh episode of the Red Letter Site.